You're sick!
You mixed it in with the paint, eh? Very clever.
Clever? Elvis, this is no time to be... Wait. Are you okay?
I'm fine. I've just realised something is all. That thing they say about pure rage making people strangely calm. It's true.
Elvis?
This one's not about asterisks or crystals or any of that. This one's about revenge. Pure and simple.
Yeah, I really want to kill this bitch too. I feel you, bro. So, I normally do these things at like when I get to the end credits of a game. So, y'all have to bear with me. This is my, this is Flame Wheel 2001, and this is my very first review on this channel, I guess. Like I said, normally I do reviews at the end of the credits. So, we'll see how this goes. With that being said, today we are reviewing Bravely Default 2. It is a role-playing game developed by Claytek Works and published by Square Enix for the Nintendo Switch. It is the third installment of the Bravely Default series, which is odd being as this is Bravely Default 2. But you know, it's an RPG made with Square Enix help, so not really a surprise there. It is a turn-based RPG with a job class customization similar to Final Fantasy V, with a combination of the BP points like Octopath Traveler has, which I'm guessing stole it from the original version of this game. So, the biggest reason this game is called Bravely Default is because there's two types of actions you can take on top of normal combat. One is defending, which is called defaulting, which adds points, and the points are called Bravely points. I think they're Bravely points. Bravely something. And these are accumulated over time, up to 3, and allows you to perform 4 actions in one single turn. You can also go negative and just do all your actions on the first turn without having any stored, but then that character is just going to sit there idly as they try and regen their Bravely points, and they can't defend or regen those points. Alright, let's talk about the music. I was definitely really enjoyed the soundtrack to this bad boy. Every zone is a combination, so you'll hear it in the background throughout the entire video. Every zone in this game is like a continuation of the song previously, just played with different instruments. And I won't lie to you, like even in my sleep sometimes, or anytime I open the game, I can just hear the music in my head. After a certain point in the game, the combat music changes. I think it's like midway through the game, or maybe near the end of the game. The combat music changes as the story gets more dire. The boss music for the bosses is really fun. And then as you gather up the crystals based on the story, there's a certain move you can do that creates special music for each one of the characters. And I really like that as well. It has a nice flow to it. So when you are on the overworld map, so there are maps that involve just the town you're in. These are set pieces. You can't move the camera around. And then majority of the world is this open map that you can roam around. And every enemy you fight, they're not random encounters so much as they just kind of roam around and you can see them. And if you're real cautious with it and you work at it, you can gather them together. And you can fight multiple chains of monsters at once. When this happens, if you can get a combination of 6 monsters together all at once and defeat the entire chain, you get 3 times the job experience you would get normally from the combat, and this is really the best way to grind. Also on occasion you'll open treasure chests, and those treasure chests will have monsters hiding inside that you'll have to defeat. And generally if you find a monster inside, it's a rare piece of gear that's definitely worth your while. I really have to say this like scratched all the itches I had. I love job-based games in general when it comes to the RGB style games. I've always been a big fan of the Final Fantasy Tactics style of hey, I can pick a job, and then I can pick passives. And then I can use those passives to build on this job to make this job an even more elaborate job. And then I can have 2 jobs. I can have a sub job and a main job. Some of my favorite styles of combat. And then they included that with the turn-based Final Fantasy combat from the older games, which is my preferred form of combat, if I'm being real. I'm not, y'all have watched enough of me to play games knowing that combat, regular, like, having to actually have skill in combat is not my jam. But I do love me some grinding as well, and let me tell you, there's a lot of grinding available in this game if you do enjoy that. I do love growing in power, and I think that was one of the biggest biggest draws for me into the game. So, story-wise, you first spawn, you find yourself in the middle of the ocean. You get found on the beach by a princess and a knight. And then as the very beginning of the story progresses, you end up on the beach again where you learn about how the Bravely system works that I described previously. And you meet 2 more intrepid travelers, Elvis and Adele. These 2 are really funny, and I really enjoy their input. Elvis's accent is really thick, but it grows on you pretty quick as well. As an overall character arc, not Xenoblade annoying style accent, but definitely deeper accent. And then you have Adele with a completely different accent. They really went hard on the fantasy trope of just having everyone having different accents, but it wasn't like Xenoblade 1 or 2 levels of like terrible accents, which is always a nice change. I do wonder if like the Japanese version, if it had like different dialects based on like regions, because I know their language itself has different dialects. I wonder if it has different sounds too. You know, I don't think there were any Southern people in that one. I don't think there was any Southern people in this game. Interesting. As you go through, your quest is to gather the crystals. So there's a main power crystal that holds undefined evil number 17 at bay. And your job is to find the crystals that were lost when the kingdom the princess used to rule over crumbled. And then your job is to gather the 4 crystals to put them back to repower the original crystal to keep the evil at bay. Trying to make it as vague as possible, because trying to not make it spoiler, because I'd like you to just, if you're going to play the game, I'd like you to enjoy the story for what it is. So, the combat system is really nice. It's just basically turn-based. You can pick attack. You can pick a skill from your first job or your second job. All the bonuses that come with your jobs are based on how you level up over time. If you master the job, you get a special mastery skill to go with that job, but only the skills that count are your first job. So, say you were a white mage and you had the angelic ability. That ability only applies when you're a white mage. When you switch jobs, your primary job, only the passes of that primary job get passed down. You start out the game with just like basically 4 basic, or you start out with 2 basic jobs at the beginning, and then as you go through the game, you defeat enemies, and each one of these enemies is carrying an item that allows you to unlock a different job. And those different job items affects the story, the plot overall. I really like the fact that as you level up different classes, you have your regular attack abilities, like your special class-based abilities, and then you get passive abilities. These passive abilities are allowed to be equipped, and those passive abilities give you a bunch more customization that you wouldn't have otherwise. That makes it so you can get some really fun combination of things. I played the game for 100 hours and 25 seconds, I think it was. I want to say it was 25 seconds. I really tried real hard to hit the 100 just by itself, but it didn't happen. Even in those 100 hours, I did not get max level, and I did not max each job. The game includes 24 jobs, classes, 3 of which are hidden, which you'll have to earn. Now, when you first beat the game, the first set of credits aren't the last set of credits. You beat the final game, you can then continue your save, and it loads the game from that scene, and then you do some more stuff, and you get another credit scene, and then you save the game again, and then you do some more stuff, And then it finally unlocks the actual ending. And once you beat the actual ending, then it starts the New Game Plus. There are 4 endings to this game, depending on how you want to play it. I'm not going to spoil any of it for here, because you guys are really going to enjoy it. The game itself, the story starts out really tropey. They go hard in the tropes. And you know what? I'm okay. There's a reason it's a trope and it's a raise and it works for this genre in general. As the story progressed, it had a lot of unexpected turns that I didn't see coming, which is kind of, you know, it should have been predictable, but at the same time, it just turned out not to be, because you're like, I don't see where this is going. And it made it extremely enjoyable for me. And the ending was pretty satisfying. Overall, score-wise, I'm going to give it a 9. It scratched all the itches I want to do. I definitely suggest you at least give it a try or give it a watch. See if the combat's something you'd enjoy. And that's my review. Hopefully it's good. Alright, thank you. Now I say, goodbye!
We have the upper hand.